Oh, sorry. I'm so exhausted. Okay, hey, welcome to your Trek. I'm a Trekkie. And did you watch Star Trek today? I watched Star Trek today. Um, Rob watched Star Trek today. And actually, Rob doesn't know I'm going to do this. Here. Let's see. Because he sent an interesting message. And he says, where's my cursor? There we go. He says, I'm ready to talk about one of the worst episodes of Trek now and then the most pointless speech in an episode after with Is There Truth? So, Rob, I just sent you a link. Why don't you just join me? And we can just talk about this so I don't have to keep on punching stuff up. So if you can and you're ready, just join. He's logging into his laptop. Sweet. Okay. So so our episodes today is And the Children Shall Lead and Is There No Truth in Beauty? This I said this yesterday. We're into the blue season. The blue season is the third season is generally respected as the worst season of Star Trek. We didn't get to talk about the worst episode, Spock's Brain, but we'll see what Rob has to say. So, yeah. So these two episodes, I tell you, they were really hard to watch. I think the funniest thing that I could see in the entire episode was he's almost ready. Was and I where did I write that down? So all right. Well, let's just okay. So when the children shall lead, it is Stardate 5029.5. The Enterprise has shown up to a planet. They find everybody dead except for the kids. There's Rob. Okay. Hey. Okay. So I was saying that the Enterprise shows up to this planet and they find everybody dead except for the kids. And then the kids want to play Ring Around the Rosie with Kirk, and he looks like he's completely annoyed, almost like Picard on Captain Picard Day. Yeah. So I think the funniest thing out of this episode, I have a couple different notes, but was the rock paper scissors. If you can do rock paper scissors, you can get anybody to do anything for you.
Yes, especially strange children sitting on a planet with everybody else dead for some
time. The one, okay, so this is I've mentioned this in other episodes before. Mr. Leslie. Now I've looked this guy up on IMDb. He's only credited with 2 episodes on his IMDb, but this character keeps on coming around. And he dies. He dies in Obsession. Yeah. But he's still around in season 3.
It's there's got to be a story there somewhere, and I want to say, and please don't hold me to this. You guys watching and go, oh my God, you're an idiot. I want to say this guy was a studio actor or a stunt actor, and doing this as well, which leads to that uncredited role back then. Right. Because in the '60s, for those of you guys watching don't know, I used to do stunt work for over a decade. The studio guys, they got thrown in a lot, and they weren't credited because they had X amount of shows. Oh, we need a body. grab him. You've worked with these guys before, right? Come on in. I died last week. It's cool. No one remembers.
Yeah. So I think that Mr. Leslie needs a series onto himself, or like he's like I'm sure he has a wing or maybe there should be a story where they mention that there's a wing of Starfleet Academy, like the
Leslie wing.
Yeah, like the Les, or I don't know. I'm sure that there's something that we can totally expand on for that character, but I don't know why, but it's just like when I'm watching these episodes and he's like, Mr. Leslie, I'm like, wait a minute, like this dude is a main character and we just don't know it. He is the red shirt that never dies.
Now we're gonna cross over genres here with Star Trek. We're gonna go over to our other favorite show, Lower Decks.
Okay.
This is the guy that crossed the Black Mountain and saw all the craziness to come back. This is where it started.
Yes!
This is where it started, right here with Leslie.
Yes.
It's the Leslie effect. That's what I'm calling it from now on. It's the Leslie effect.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay. All right. So what's your oh my gosh. So this I don't even know where to start with this episode. Like, so I think that they tried to do an okay job with like, oh, okay, here's some backstory and here's the kids and maybe it's a story about loss, or maybe it's about fat ghosts that look like well, let's see, hold on, what did I say? Looks like his outfit was made from ugly drapes or sofa cushions or sofa covers. Like it was the worst fabric in the world. And like the kids, like I was born in 72, and I know I probably wore some really horrible outfits as a kid, but these kids had like the worst clothing. Like it was like sale day at J.C. Penney's or Sears.
Yeah, they grabbed the hobo that sat in front of the studio at the time and just said, "Hey, we like what's in your cart. Can we have this? And we're just gonna clean it real quick and throw it on these kids. It's gonna be okay."
Yeah. Okay.
This was a rough episode. I mean, season 3. I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Season 3 was a rough season.
Yeah.
A lot of different parts and pieces for it. We can talk about that with Gene Roddenberry and looking at bringing in monetization with side sales of toys and metals and all that crap. I felt like this episode never really figured out what it was trying to do. We have magic. We have mind control. We have why? Why is it a horror episode? Suspenseful? What's going? It's just the whole thing was weird to me.
Right. So I'm big into continuity, or at least like some. So it starts out where it establishes that it's Stardate 5029.5, and I had to re-listen to that a couple times just to get it down, but it is 5029.5. Maybe he says 29.5. I can't remember. But when they're looking back at the tapes, the logs from the freckled kid's dad, he has a log at 5025.3, and then at 5032.4, and then at 5038.3. So are we going forward in time? Are we going backward in time? And I have to stop myself because like they really didn't start consistent star dates until the Next Generation, where there was really a set rules. I'd have to actually look up the exact quote, but I remember in one of these books, it's the same book, just different covers.
Mm-hmm.
It actually has it talks about star dates as being that they just randomly go through the season, and a date isn't necessarily consistent with time, but it's basically based on where you are in space in relationship to whatever. So this is definitely that's definitely a bad explanation for this example right now, because you have his star date and then you have the star dates on the planet. But in reality, it should be somewhat consistent if you're using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be some kind of sequential order, but
Right.
the writers' room just kind of looked at it and went, "That's cool, man. Just
Yeah,
don't worry about
no one will notice.
It's
Well,
just a
maybe
kid's
somebody
show."
will notice like 55 years from now, and then just will get stuck in his head and just won't
The,
talk.
the kids watching this and the kids that are going to watch this on syndication, they'll figure it out. But the guys watching right now, we don't care. It's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that did stick out to me. Now, this is another episode where they you get it a Vulcan neck pinch.
Mhm.
This is, I think, one of the first times where you have Spock, who is actually being attacked from behind, and he gets out of the attack and then affects a nerve neck pinch. And I was like, aha!
We got some Vulcan martial arts here.
We get. I mean, I was like, I think we can play with that. I think that's another Kyushu Corner episode. And it's funny because I did do that one recently where we kind of took apart what's it called, the move from Starship Mine, where Picard was fighting pre-Tuvok. But I think, and it's kind of the same technique in a way, but instead of it starting off with a punch, it starts off with a rear grab. But I think that deserves some future exploration. Let's see. Oh, and then one of the absurd lines from the episode comes at the end, where you have McCoy, and he just comes onto the bridge, and he's like, "Jim, they're crying. Like, that's amazing. How did this happen? Well,
Jim, you're a hero.
You've been gone for most of the episode.
You were filming a TV special and you just walk back in. It's okay. We get it."
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think they really they had a goal, but they didn't fulfill it very well. So
this is one of those episodes that I really think suffers from the rewrites, and I don't know this for a fact, but it feels like an episode where the original intent might have been really good. It might have had a really good concept. Hey, these kids survived on their own. Turns out they've got these mental abilities, blah, blah, blah. And so we want to bring in the Enterprise crew to kind of help them out. And then somebody got a hold of it and said, "Ooh, that's a little too serious for kids. Well, why don't we tweak it? Let's oh, I know, backwards talk. Yeah, backwards talk. Let's do backwards." And they start adding all this stuff in there and going, "Okay, well, we don't like the well." I think it just got chopped up so much that by the time it got put in, that's what we got.
Yeah, I'm lost on if there was really a true message here. So
I don't think there was by the end of it. No, it'd be hard pressed to find anything aside from rock paper scissors can get anyone to do anything. That might be the message.
Yeah, maybe this is the beginning of what was it? Rock, papers, lizard, Spock.
Yes, it very well could be. It very well could be.
Okay, on to our next episode. Is there no truth in beauty? Not horrible. Again, no. We are it's Stardate 5630.7. We are introduced to a new alien race, the Medusian or Medusans, which actually we get to see we don't actually get to see a Medusan, but this is the same creature that is being portrayed in Prodigy coming up here.
Yeah, which is
so. Yeah, so it's like, okay, and instead of being in some rectangular or octagonal box, which now brings me to that one Lower Decks episode. It's like, why are all the boxes like this?
Yep.
But there's actually, it can move, and it's like, I don't know. So it's the same, for those of you who are like, oh, okay, well, what's this Methuselah character? It's the same race. One of my first thoughts was, oh, it's Anne Mahol. Oh no, I'm sorry. Dr. Jones.
Yes.
So
yes.
like several, characters, they've reused actors, which is fine because who was it? It was Mark Leonard. I mean, he played a Vulcan, and he played Sarek, a Vulcan. He played a Romulan, and then he played a Klingon in whatever movie that is, the motion picture. So it's not like the first time that they have, rehashed an actor, but to make it so obvious. But it is the 60s. I don't know.
It's the 60s, and it goes back to that. It's still viewed kind of as a kid's show. I mean, I hate saying that because it's not, but it had that gimmick at the time.
Yeah. I had some questions though. So if the ambassador and I guess I still have this question because it ends with them beaming off. So if the ambassador is in a box, then why does everybody have to exit the transporter room and Spock have to wear those funny glasses?
Just in case. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, that's the problem with, again, continuity pieces. It's like nobody asked that question until after they shot it all.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe it's just just in case thing. Maybe the Medusan actually materializes before the box, so you get that hint. However, Kirk is in the transporter room at the end of the episode when they beam off the Enterprise. So that kind of throws that theory out the door.
But you have to keep in mind, Kirk is not going to be affected by it because it wasn't a woman. So he wasn't looking. There's no looking at it whatsoever. Not an issue. We're good.
Okay, that's a good theory. I might buy that. When they're in there, okay, and then they keep on talking about this mind link. They haven't used the term mind meld yet, but I was like, is this just another term for mind meld? Because that's what we all know it as mind meld, but they haven't used the term yet, and we're in season 3.
Does that come in season 4? I want to say it does. I'm actually Googling that right now.
But there is no, well, are you talking season 4 as in the animated series?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, no, that's okay. So, I mean, it could, because that's kind of that's what we now know. That's how it's referred to in the Next Generation and all, Voyager, all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those where it's like, I don't know. But of course, the mind link is not necessarily a mind meld. It is literally a link between the creature and yeah. Now, when they're at dinner, it's okay. So it's been a while since I've seen this episode. So there were some things where it's like, I'm like, this actress or this, this character, Dr. Jones, I totally was reading her as blind. I mean, Diana Muldaur was doing actually a pretty good job at playing that. But of course, then they play it off to this or that. It's like, when he's pouring the drink and all of a sudden you're like, no, she's blind. No, she's not. She's having a vision of somebody having thoughts of killing somebody. I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. of course, I'm always stuck on blue drinks as being in Romulan ale, but they
Yes.
actually say that this is Antarian brandy as being blue as well. So even in the previous, what was it? I think it was Space Seed. They also have dinner with
Yep.
blue drinks, and they never give any type of name to it. But I was like, it most likely was probably Antarian brandy because Romulan ale really hasn't become a thing
Hasn't
yet.
been a thing yet.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to kind of play that. Well, maybe he got some Romulan ale from this guy and from this trader, and it could have possibly kind of changed hands and ended up as a contraband. Since
Yeah.
sometimes they're the police force, they gotta take whatever's in your hold just because we're not sure you're supposed to have it. You didn't file a flight plan, so
And so then it becomes Antarian brandy.
there you go. That's the politically correct term for Romulan ale.
Um, yeah, this started kind of losing me towards the end of the episode, but like, they end up at this time. Was it like a time continuum or space time continuum? Because they've hit 88 miles an hour. I mean, warp 9.5, and now they've exited the galaxy or in some void. Hurts my brain.
This is again an example of the season 3 writing to come, and that has been that we get these. It's just a bunch of ideas kind of thrown together with nobody looking back. There's this is before we actually had the Bibles, right? Where they go back and go, okay, season 1, season 2, these characters, this is that. So this is just these weird concepts they throw together that just don't make sense. But I don't think, again, some of these writers, I don't think cared at this point in time.
Well, I think we're also, we also have to point out this is the third season. This is this show was not supposed to come back.
Right.
This was and I think that this was slated, like this was coming on at 10 o'clock at night. Like NBC was like, sure, we'll bring it back for a third season, but we're going to give it the worst time slot ever, and we're really not going to pay much attention to stories. Now we do have a new set. That's the one thing I forgot to mention in the previous episode. We have like I don't know what you would call it, like an arboretum or some type of lounge that has lots of plants and flowers. So I know there's this ongoing theme though, is that what is beauty? And I know that Dr. Jones is jealous of Spock because he can actually see and link with this character, this Medusan, and and my thing is like, is a Medusan really that ugly? I mean, they use the name Medusan in connection with Medusa,
Right.
the Greek goddess, or not the Greek goddess, but the Greek creature that if you see him or you see her, you turn to stone. So it's really that bad. But here's the thing, is the creature that ugly, or is it more of a visual effect on our psyche that makes us go crazy?
So I always had the thought that it was the visual effect. I always thought that something about either the way they create a telepathic link, it's a forced link versus allowed, or there's something to do with maybe a pheromone or something coming off that from, I know pheromones are sense of smell, but roll with me. The
Right.
something about that visual interaction that does create that psychological break that you just lose it.
Right.
You're not obviously turning to stone, you're not being paralyzed, but they don't have snakes coming out of their head that we think of. But there's gotta be something. There's gotta be something. And the fact that Spock with the visor is able to kind of view because of the special glasses and stuff, that they have a stronger mind than humans. So it just leads me to there's something there, but I always thought of it as a psychic thing. It's an accidental. They don't mean to. It's
Yeah.
not that they're that ugly. We tell our kids they're ugly so that Just don't look at them. They're ugly. Turn away. You'll go insane. But really, it's something scientific they just don't want to explain.
Maybe it's because they're blinky. Like, you know how, you've got blinking lights in video games,
Yep.
or flashing lights can sometimes induce an epileptic seizure in
Mhm.
epileptics. Maybe it's that same way, like they're like the flashy lights, or just, it's a visual thing that instead of us going into a seizure, we go nuts.
Yeah.
And sometimes we send the Enterprise into a void and then die because we've gone too crazy.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
All right. This pointless speech. I honestly, I stopped. There were only certain things that kind of popped out at me, so I guess I missed the pointless speech. Was this when when she was actually didn't have her outfit on and she was actually blind, and he's throwing her up against the walls of the sick bay? Or
No, this was the metal speech. God, let me see if I can find a transcript of it. This is the one that Gene Roddenberry actually added in later, because this is when they were starting to sell the replica medals, and it was basically him writing a commercial for the medals.
really?
Yeah. Let me see. Is there the speech? There we go. It's his beauty speech. So, is that the one? No, it's not. It's not talking about his medals. I'll find it. I'll get it over to you. But it's just when he just it just didn't make sense. It was one of those. That's the whole episode. Jesus.
Well, so when he's having that conversation with her, is it when they were in the Arboretum?
Yeah,
And he's talking about beauty and basically distracting her so Spock could go do whatever he was going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of lost on that as well. That was like, because at one point I had to kind of replay it because I'm like, what is his motivation here? I was like, oh, he's distracting her. I couldn't even remember if they had actually set it up that was the plan, and then they follow through with the plan. That's kind of I was like, God, this really the only good thing about the episode was Diana Muldaur.
Yeah,
that was really
that the shining light of her pretending to be blind but not.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't get it.
It's third season, man. There's nothing to really get. This is what we got.
This is almost to jump universes. This is almost kind of like the first season of the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
It's so painful to get through. And there's little gems. They're little gems. But in all, it's that first season where you're just like, oh, is it over yet?
The difference being all of the best stuff from Star Trek we got in season 1 and 2, and then 3, it's like, ugh. Clone Wars was the first season was like, ugh, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's getting better and better and better. But Trek kind of does it too. Obviously we go through the movies. We go. I enjoyed the animated series. I know it was really stupid at times, but I was a kid when it was on. So
honestly, it's been so long. I have the animated series on DVD, and I'm sure and it is. I know it's on Paramount Plus, but I honestly haven't watched it for a long time.
I have not watched it since I was in my teens, and I got a couple episodes on VHS from a friend who bootlegged it. But it's there on Paramount. I should watch it. I should.
I didn't put it as part of Year of Trek. Maybe that'll have to be the second time around.
Or we should do it as
maybe I'll have
addendum.
To categorize them that you'll watch them in Stardate order.
Ooh. Now that will be confusing as hell. So you can go to season 3, episode 4, and then season 1, episode 1, season 2, episode 3, season 1, episode 4. It'd be fun.
That would be fun.
It would be fun. But
Okay.
we can just make it as a whole addendum to the end of the year. Hey, here's your side projects. Watch the animated series, and then watch Free Enterprise, and we'll talk about it.
There you go. There you go. I still think you have a great. So for those watching this after hours, because Free Enterprise is just a fantastic movie. Both Rob and I love it. There's lots of. He was telling me about how he has this idea to for a story when Mark turns 50, which I think was just great. And we kind of riffed back and forth today on that. Or maybe it was yesterday. I can't remember.
I don't. My weeks. I spent yesterday working at home and then packing, and then working again this morning, and worked some late last night. And I did my radio show yesterday, so all that time's kind of blurred together. I don't remember because I was actually writing down notes and plot points and like, ooh, this would be a cool idea. So we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about this weekend.
Absolutely. So I think, and I wanted to bring this up because I didn't stream anything with a piece of the action. I think that there have been times, and I think the piece with a piece of the action is a good thing, or is a good point on that, is that there have been these times where Paramount or somebody could have made a ton of money at the right time, like doing a Free Enterprise 2 or maybe Free Enterprise 50, and theme it on like a Star Trek 2 theme, like we discussed, because that's when Kirk turned 50. A piece of the action, like in the 90s, somebody should have written a history book on the gangs of Chicago.
Yeah.
Why did a book not come out like that? Paramount totally missed out on like just paying somebody, just be like, write this book. And then had like a specialty book that like you could buy that was like, 2 feet by 3 feet, however big that book was on set.
Oh God.
Like
I think the problem was during that point, Paramount was not looking at Trek. See, my thoughts are going a million miles a minute, and it's 10:30 my time, so my brain's a little fried. But Star Wars toys, comics, post-movie canon that doesn't exist anymore. They kind of tried to make it this continuing thing. Star Trek existed, stopped, came back because of syndication and the fans. So we got the movies. Movies did well. We got Next Generation. Next Generation did well. We got DS9. It continued on. So I think they just dialed into, we make a lot of money off of commercials, and we can make some money off of toy sales, and we can make some money off of books. I don't think they thought outside the box like that. Now, currently, I think absolutely. I think that they are locked into locked into Star Trek. I think now Paramount sees the mass fandom, the mass drive, the mass passion for Trek, and they're going, oh yeah, we're all in. I'm waiting for the day they go, by the way, Paramount Plus, it's not Paramount Plus anymore. It's Star Trek Plus with Paramount. That's our new streaming channel. Come watch all the Star Trek you want, every Star Trek you want. Oh, and by the way, there's some other shows too, but just watch Star Trek. Because that's driving subscriber bases. But it's like Free Enterprise. I watched it again the other day. Oh God, I think it was two. I think we were talking. Damn, today's Wednesday. We must have been talking yesterday because I think I watched Free Enterprise yesterday in the morning, my coffee break, and then lunch. I think, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, there's no really. Paramount wasn't directly involved in a lot of it. It's a cult movie. It's an independent film in a lot of ways, literally. But the guys that were involved in it are now all with and doing work with Paramount in one way, shape, or form or another. Whether they're consultants through Star Trek, whether it's for the Las Vegas project they did, whether it's the TV shows, the websites, the books. So they're involved in Trek because of Free Enterprise. But I think that's the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
For fans, we watched it, we love it because it is not just Trek. That's the core of it. But you get Babylon 5 references, you get Logan's Run, of course, classic. God, even watching it again, run runner, and just I giddy, I just a giggle, and my wife's like, what the hell are you? He's wearing a wig. I know, it's just funny because this is shot for shot. And the kid, and you quoted it last time I brought it up. Logan's Run, what's that? Some sports movie? Sports movie? So it's like
Rollerball is a
it's
sports
a sports
movie.
movie, and it is, and it's epic too. But that's that. I mean, that's that piece, right? So it hits on all nerddom, and yeah, they should have gone. Hey guys, we really like this. It's got a cult following. Let's see if we can take it up a notch. Give you guys an actual budget and make it happen.
Well, I think I can't remember if he was. I don't know if John Hughes was still alive at the 15-year mark, but they missed out with having a Ferris Bueller
Yes.
sequel at 15 years, based off of that line.
Yep.
In 15 years you're going to be doing this. It's like, well, hey, let's see what he's actually doing in 15 years. So
I don't know. It's weird because we live in this Hollywood state where everybody and their brother wants to reboot something or do a sequel to something that never should have a sequel, or create a series out of something that should have stopped at 3 and not going up to 9 and going, we got 3 more and then we're done. There's stuff that it should, and that doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I'll never understand that.
That's why I'm still pushing for a Matador trilogy, starting with Man Who Never Missed. If you don't know what Matador is, look up Steve Perry, Man Who Never Missed, Matadora, Machiavelli Interface, 97th Step. Great series of books. Just an original. Okay, so on to tomorrow. So tomorrow's
Thursday.
Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow is Lower Decks Day.
It is.
Sweet. So so we're gonna have Lower Decks at 5:30, like always. And then maybe at 7 we'll do this, maybe earlier. I don't know. I'll figure out my schedule, but tune in anyway. So tomorrow we have Spectre of the Gun and Day of the Dove. So Spectre is the Gun is the Old West, where I don't remember that being the greatest episode in the world. And Day of the Dove is we get to see the Klingons again.
Yep.
This time they are Klingons in blackface. They could still get away with that shit in the 60s.
Is there going to be on Paramount? Is there going to be that disclaimer at the front? Please be aware that their following scenes may offend some viewers. Kind of like they do with Gone with the Wind.
I don't know. I'm
asking that honestly. I'm not asking that to be like a dick. I'm literally I don't know, because they are in blackface.
I don't know.
It's a good episode.
I'm sorry?
I said, but it is a good episode.
Day of the Dove is actually one of the better episodes of season 3. I would agree. So yeah, and you know what? We are like, so that's day 30, because today's 29. So we really only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We only have just over a week. And we're done with the, actually, I'm sorry, we have to add in all the movies. So we're literally 2 weeks away from the end of the original generation, and then we're going into the next generation. Like
off to the 24th century.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
In the 24th century original
only the tracks.
Oh my God.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it's more than likely Free Enterprise. Go watch it. But no, man, listen, you have done a great job I can't remember if I've said this to you offline or not, but you've done a great job in creating this consistency. I love it because it also helps me. I go on my lunch break. I work at home, as a lot of you guys are wondering why I have radio stuff and crap in the background. I take my lunch break. I watch an episode, 2 episodes, 3 episodes sometimes. Okay, well, just cue it up on my TV, and I go grab a movie now. We hit the movies. I just grab the Blu-ray, throw it in. I don't have a subwoofer. I live on a upstairs.
You're not only just watching with a Euro Trek, but you're actually also watching Enterprise too.
Yes, I am, and I am. Oh God, I got 3 episodes left of season 4 of Enterprise that I, for the record, never got a chance to watch when it started because I was doing production and I was on the road all the damn time, and it just, when it came up in syndication, I just didn't care. I just didn't. It's unfortunate because I really like this series now.
It's really good. It's really good.
I really like it.
Unfortunately, we won't really be able to talk about it. I mean, we can talk about it, but we won't be officially talking about it towards like the end of the year. So,
but that's okay.
Yeah, that
gives me a chance to rewatch it again.
Absolutely. Okay, so tomorrow, Lower Decks. I think it's episode 9. So we're almost done with that series, and then after that we get to go on to Prodigy. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. I really want to see how the stories hold on to that. And then for our regular scheduled episodes, Spectre of the Gun and Day of the Dove. So I know we hadn't talked about this earlier, but Rob, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah,
send me a link anytime.
Yeah,
I just have to take a second to go, oh crap, and turn on my laptop and plug in my headphones.
No worries.
So we're good.
And then let's see. And I will be seeing you on Friday.
I'm excited, man. We're gonna have a blast.
This weekend's gonna be awesome.
I'll hit you up in a minute and we'll work out some time stuff.
All right. So I know no one else tuned in. That's okay. Because these get watched after hours, so after they air, which is totally cool. So until tomorrow, live long and prosper.